It was the year 2098, a time when it was difficult to come up with a unique invention because everything people needed had already been invented, except for one thing. I've been working on this project my entire life. Even when my colleagues and family started doubting if I'd ever get it finished, I never felt discouraged. And after 10 years of trying and failing, I finally got it. NeuroCast was finally alive, the only advanced neurotechnology system that allows the direct transmission of thoughts and emotions through smartphones and computers for therapeutic purposes. This innovative technology integrates brain-to-computer interfaces and mobile devices to facilitate seamless, real-time communication of mental states. I became the first neurologist to ever achieve this milestone. And so we turned NeuroCast into a mobile app that anybody could get access to and know what they were feeling before finding the right treatments for themselves. And in no time, millions of people were making use of this app. Everything was going pretty well until the mind plague began to spread. We started recording thousands of suicide cases because of what they learned about their mental health from the app. It all didn't make sense to me because the app was only meant to show you, your mental state. How could it be that thousands of people would kill themselves after knowing what's going on with their mental health? When the suicide numbers were rising very fast, I and my team of neuroscientists who worked hard to bring NeuroCast to life were invited by the FBI. They ordered us to shut down the application for some time while we found solutions to stem the outbreak. But my colleagues didn't want to be any part of it. They said NeuroCast isn't a threat to any life, and whatever was making those people end their lives was already in their heads, not in the application. So they all began to walk out of the office. I knew these tragic occurrences weren't just happening because these people were depressed, and I needed to know what was really going on, so I stayed behind. When they turned and saw that I wasn't coming, the head scientist, Dr. Hubert Paul, told the FBI agents to get me an office there because I would no longer be coming back to the lab. They fired me. They even tried to lock me out of the NeuroCast server, but I was 2 steps ahead of them. I had secretly created a master passcode for any emergencies. I never thought it would come in handy, but it finally did, and I was able to lock them out. So, right there in the FBI's headquarters, I began to investigate to know the root of the problem. That was when I found out that there was a virus in NeuroCast. Our system had been hacked. It took me days to trace the source of the virus, and I finally found it. Patient 0. They had no real identity online. So I sought the help of a tracker who helped me track them to an apartment in New Jersey. I didn't mention my findings to the FBI because I wanted to see this person myself and ask them why they were doing this to innocent people. So I left for New Jersey, and when I landed in the city, I wanted to see who this person was so bad that I didn't even book a hotel. I just went straight to their address. I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, a special teenager opened. I asked where his parents were, and he said he lived alone. I didn't want to believe he was patient 0, but my curiosity made me ask, and he said yes. He told me his real name was Micah. And as we got talking some more, I realized his despair was too much for NeuroCast to carry, so it inadvertently amplified across the neural network by sharing his emotions with other users. I could have easily deleted his account and saved thousands of people, but he might open another account, and if he still hasn't healed from his trauma, more people could die. Just seeing the way thousands lost their lives when they carried the weight on his mind, I admired how strong this kid was for still being alive. And I wanted to help him. Now that I knew the source of the problem, I developed a neural firewall that filters harmful, emotional contents. And I also linked him up with my therapist while I helped by the sidelines. He told me about how he was being bullied in school for his looks and how he was abandoned by his parents. They just left one morning, leaving him a note, and he never saw them again. He had to stop going to school because the bullying was too much and he had nobody to turn to for help. I could only imagine what it felt like to be abandoned by your parents who brought you into this world because you didn't look like them. After a while of therapy, Micah began to feel much better and happy with the way he was. And when I finally announced to the public what caused the application to malfunction and that it was reopening, many people wanted to know Micah's story and they all felt touched by it. A special school for children with Down syndrome offered to enroll him on a full scholarship, and Micah was finally happy to be around people who didn't judge him or make a mockery of him because of his looks. One day, after one of my public speakings on the effect of bullying, I received a message from Dr. Hubert. He wanted to see me. So I went to see him in his office, where he was with the rest of my former colleagues. That was when he told me the truth about why they didn't want to be part of the search for patient zero.
All along, we knew about the virus before you even had any idea about it, but we all decided to be mute because we were observing the mental state of Micah as part of an experiment to study the transmission of strong emotional contagions through NeuroCast. We believe his unique neurological makeup makes him an ideal subject, but you ruined everything by teaming up with the FBI and locking us out of the database.
I only did what was best for the world, and I do not regret it. Dr. Hubert didn't say a word. He just slid over a hefty check to me, and then he gave me an ultimatum.
Give us access back to the server and do whatever you can to push back Micah into depression so we can continue with our experiment. It's for the greater good of mankind, and you know it.
I rejected their offer by shredding the check into pieces and stood up to leave, but I was blocked by security.
Teach her a lesson!
And just at that very moment, the door burst open and the office was filled with FBI agents, and they arrested all the scientists. I know you might be wondering how the FBI got to hear about the meeting. Well, after Dr. Hubert called, I knew something wasn't right. These people hated me for not doing what they wanted. I knew I probably wouldn't be safe if I just went there by myself. So I informed the FBI to let them know where I was going in case I ended up missing. They suggested I wear a mic to record our conversation. I didn't want to at first because if they found out, they'd unalive me before the FBI even showed up. But they promised that they'd be very close and they wouldn't let anything happen to me. I trusted them, and they planted the wire and a camera on me, and it captured everything that happened in that office on tape. I became the hero scientist that saved the world. After everything was over, I decided to change someone's life. I adopted Micah as my son. I promised to give him all the love his biological parents failed to give to him, and I'm glad my words didn't fall to the ground. Micah is now an astronaut. He was the first to land on the planet closest to the sun and survived. A planet that was too hot for anything to survive. Micah got there and he proved those who never believed in him wrong. All he ever wanted was genuine love, and when he got it, there was nothing he couldn't do.